The greater the angle of the reflecting plane of forming mass to the plane of concept in inertia, the greater the positive charge and negative discharge of that mass, and consequently the greater its ability to appear to attract and to repel. Preponderance of power of mass to appear to attract increases as the reflecting plane progresses through the tonal positions of 1 plus, 2 plus, and 3 plus to its maximum at 4 plus plus. Preponderance of power of mass to appear to repel increases as the reflecting plane progresses through the tonal positions of 1 minus, 2 minus, and 3 minus to its maximum at 4 plus plus. The elements of matter and all expressions of energy in combination are states of motion of varying potentials which represent various stages of progress toward and beyond maturity, the reflection of concept. Each potential has its own evolved, or devolving plane position in its wave. Each plane is but a registration in wave position of a potential, just as a tone, color, temperature, or any other dimension is a registration of a state of motion. Just as locked potentials of high positive charge and high melting points, in which the dominating spectrum lines are in the orange and yellow, have a greater power to attract than locked potentials of lower positive charge and lower melting points, in which the dominating spectrum lines are in the infrared and red, so have locked potentials of 70 degrees plus to 90 degrees plus plus in plane greater power to attract than those which register 1 degree plus to 70 degrees plus. Conversely, just as locked potentials of high negative discharge and high melting points, in which the dominating spectrum lines are in the green and green-blue, have a greater power to repel than the elements of lower negative discharge and lower melting points, in which the dominating spectrum lines are in the ultraviolet and blue, so have locked potentials of 70 degrees minus to 90 degrees plus plus greater power to repel than those which register 1 degree minus to 70 degrees minus. If elements of great angle of plane and little expansion of plane area in their octave waves have a greater power to appear to attract or repel than elements of little angle of plane and great expansion of plane area, then it must necessarily follow that the power of mass to attract or repel is partly conditioned by the relation of the plane position of the mass and not alone by distance and the product of attracting masses. If this is true, then plane of increasing angle and lessening expansion of plane area in the positive half of the wave must in some manner be related to the power of mass to appear to attract. Conversely, plane of increasing angle and lessening expansion of plane area in the negative half of the wave must in some manner be related to the power of mass to appear to repel. If these premises are well founded, the 16th dimension must be considered in the writing of the laws of gravitation and radiation. The greater the expansion of the ecliptic plane area of forming mass, the less the positive charge and negative discharge of that mass, and consequently the less its ability to appear to attract and repel. Preponderance of power for mass to appear to attract and to repel increases as expansion of ecliptic plane area decreases. As the ecliptic plane area contracts to a spiral in one plane of the direction of the carbon line of the positive half of the wave, the elements within that half of the wave have an ever-increasing power to appear to attract. Conversely, as expansion of the ecliptic plane areas increases from the carbon line to the line of the inert gases, the power of the elements within this negative half of the wave to appear to repel decreases. The more restricted the expansion of the ecliptic plane area, the higher the potential. Conversely, the greater the expansion of the ecliptic plane area, the lower the potential. Time is necessary for registering the evolution and devolution of plane as it journeys from its conceptual stage to the universal white light of mind substance, to its matured reflection in the simulated white light of the simulated substance, and beyond to the melding point of simulation and reality in the white light of universal mind in inertia. Comprehension of this process will clarify the mystery of growth from infancy to maturity and beyond to death, where life eternal is and begins again, in endless repetitive sequences in time, space, and motion. If these premises are true, then elements of contracting ecliptic plane areas which belong to the charging positive half of their respective octave waves must in some manner be related to the power of mass to appear to attract. Conversely, the elements of expanding ecliptic plane areas which belong to the discharging negative half of their respective octave waves must in some manner be related to the power of mass to appear to repel. If these premises are well founded in the 18th dimension, the 18th dimension must be considered in the writing of the laws of gravitation and radiation. Next chapter, expressions of gravitation and radiation in ionization, the 9th dimension. All mass is an aggregation of light units assembled into systems and into systems of systems. All mass is held together by internal surface tension pressure generated by itself. Any mass of high pressure and potential which is brought into a zone of low pressure and potential will rapidly lose the light units of which it is composed. An environment of extreme low pressure and potential surrounding a mass of high pressure and potential will reduce the ability of that mass to generate internal surface tension pressure. Under such conditions, a mass of high potential will expand, thus separating its particles. They will fly away from their mass with more or less violence according to the consequential reduction in internal surface tension pressure. This effect is the attempt of nature to maintain an equilibrium. High potential out of place must adjust itself to the place in which it finds itself. This separation of particles is the radiative process due to the electromagnetic power of repulsion. It will be recalled that bodies receding from each other discharge each other. It will be recalled that discharging bodies discharge their high potential into lower potential and thus redistribute accumulated mass. It must not be forgotten, however, that a discharging body is merely preponderant in its ability to discharge. It is also a charging body in a lesser degree. Discharging bodies, while discharging their high potential, are simultaneously accumulating high potential from lower potential by the centripetal force of generation. Any mass of low pressure and potential which is brought into a zone of high pressure and potential will lose the light units of which it is composed more slowly in its new potential position. The mass will contract, thus drawing its light units and systems closer together. This contraction of particles is the generative process of attraction. It will be recalled that bodies approaching each other charge each other. Charging bodies of higher potential regenerate discharging bodies of lower potential. This is the process of accumulation of mass. Accumulating mass being preponderantly gravitative increases its internal surface tension pressure as it accumulates and thus loses less of its particles. This universe of dimension expressed by motion is a corpuscular universe of varying pressures.